This is the Built Different podcast with Dwayne and William.
Are you ready for another episode of Built Different, William?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, we're ready. So thank you for joining us. Hit the subscribe button, like our content. Give us some of your comments. We'd really appreciate it. Helps us out, helps our channel. And if you have anything you want us to talk about moving forward on some more episodes, please write it in there. We'll take that into consideration. But for now, let's get started. What do you have there, William?
So this was a pretty cool house that I inspected on the beach in Malibu, California.
Malibu, California. All right. That's pretty sensational.
Yeah, and the type of architecture and actual structural design that you see here is not something you see every day or inspect every day.
No, it's actually pretty difficult to build a house right on the beach.
Yep. And as you can see, this house looks like it's kind of overhanging the sand. And what those columns there are, they're called caissons. And essentially what they do is they typically drill down all the way to the bedrock.
Okay.
And really strong engineered posts because you don't like to build our house on sand.
Right, right. So all that sand and water can get under there. It's essentially like a pier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Whoa. Stairs to nowhere.
Yep.
So we talked about this quite a bit, William. Went back and forth on it. What do you think? Give me your thoughts.
Well, I still think this is unsafe. I know we were speculating on why the stairs are not finished. Maybe it's because the water tide comes up all the way up to the seawall right there, and essentially you can just walk right into the water.
Take your surfboard, go right out to the surf, and, and off you go, right?
Yep.
I mean, I agree with you. I think the stairs should go all the way down probably to the sand. Have some kind of a footing down there so somebody doesn't just accidentally walk down the stairs and fall off.
Yeah, I agree.
But they have it looks like the neighbor stairs do that, and they're concrete, But
if you notice the difference, their stairs are concrete and these are wooden stairs.
Yeah.
And if the moisture is hitting the wooden stairs constantly,
yeah, they're just
won't last as long.
Not going to last as long, deteriorate, and so they should just be rebuilt.
Yep.
All right.
Speaking of stairs nowhere, this was pretty interesting. So this guy, I'm not going to name any names, he is a pretty well-known household actor, and I'll say he stole the Declaration of Independence at one time, but he had these emergency escape ladders on 3 of his balconies.
Okay.
And it just drops you down straight into the ocean.
Wow.
And I thought that was pretty neat because I may have seen this once before.
Interesting. I don't know of any code that requires that, so
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
So did you test it?
Yeah, they worked.
You put your frog suit on and drop down into the water?
Yeah, definitely. All right. Not as cool of a house, but this house was pretty interesting.
So this is a different house now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, pretty interesting, and some of the stuff that I saw there. Here, what I'm calling out and what the arrow is pointing at is the wood siding going into the grade, into the soil, underneath this deck that we see here. And essentially, you typically don't really want wood touching the soil, let alone going below it.
Well, the code says, 8 inches? You got to have at least 8 inches going from the ground, dirt, in the International Residential Code?
Yes, I have that here. It should be not less than 6 inches.
6 inches,
or less
okay.
than 2 inches vertical from concrete steps,
Okay.
porch slabs, patio slabs, and similar horizontal surfaces exposed to the weather.
Okay.
Unless it is comprised of naturally durable or preservative treated wood, which this is obviously not that.
Yeah, it's not that. And I always call it out if it's in contact with the dirt.
Yeah.
If there's some clearance there and it doesn't look like it's an issue, I don't really get into like, it's got to be 8 inches or 6 inches or 2 inches. It needs to have clearance.
Yeah, definitely. So this is the same house. This is what I meant. There's some interesting stuff. This is actually the garage. This is not a yoga studio. You could see back there on the left side, they installed a sauna.
So that's what that is? That's a sauna back in there. Okay.
Yeah, and installed like a nice straw-like carpet here on the slab.
Right.
And then there was two issues here because while the seller may be using this as there's, who knows, workout room or whatever they're using it for, the buyer is most likely not going to use it for the same purpose.
Probably not.
I can't assume that he will.
So the code on that in the International Residential Code is R309.1 for floor surface. Garage floor surfaces shall be an approved non-combustible material.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And they should also facilitate and be sloped for...
So water can drain out of the garage.
Correct. And
Okay.
this carpet's just going to soak up any water.
Yeah. So definitely just need to let them know if they're going to be using it as a garage, they got to get rid of that.
Yep. Now, speaking of combustible material...
Boy, there's a fire. We got a fire here under the house. Look at that. That's some seriously charred wood.
Yes, I think there had like a floor furnace. You can actually see there on the way back. There's a tankless water heater all the way back there. I think if I remember correctly, some sort of appliance caught on fire. Yeah, I was pretty surprised when I opened up the basement door, got underneath there, and saw all this charred wood. Just kind of took a step back for a second. I believe the water heater caught on fire and ignited the underfloor area in this house. And as you can see, there's a lot of new wood right next to where all the old charred wood is. All those posts are new. They replaced the beam, or we call it a girder, and they even installed some positive reinforcements there.
So, I'm an ex-firefighter, and I mean, I just want to clarify when William says they told him the water heater caught on fire. Water heaters don't catch on fire. But if it's an open flame at the base of the water heater, like there's lint there or any kind of combustible material, if that flame backdrafts out of the fire chamber, which it does, I mean, you see black soot on the actual tank, exterior side of the tank. Oftentimes it can ignite something very close to the water heater, and who knows? I mean, there could be anything underneath there, and so. Most water heaters nowadays, I don't think any have open flames anymore. They're all sealed up, which is much more safer than what we used to have. But and it could have been a furnace under there too. It looks like there's HVAC ducting and things like that. Those old furnaces definitely cause a lot of house fires as well. So, what I think is interesting here is whenever we as home inspectors see charred wood, we always have to recommend a contractor, because contractors can determine whether the charred wood has to be replaced or whether it can be sistered upon, like what this is. This is pretty significant, and I'm surprised they just sistered upon this and didn't, at least put a treatment on it, some kind of a like smoke treatment or paint. They just left it that way. But
yeah, I was pretty surprised too.
If I was buying this house, I'd be very concerned that. I'd want to see permits with final signatures. I'd want to maybe even hire a structural engineer to come out and take a look at this to make sure it's acceptable.
And I agree. So this is an incorrectly spliced beam.
So you're underneath the house. This is the crawl space, and there's two beams going onto a post. But you told me there's three, so that's a perpendicular facing beam.
So there's three pieces of wood, two beams, and then there's a 2x4, 2x6, whatever that is.
Okay.
So that's in between it.
Oh,
to fill the gap.
So that's like a 2x4 or a 2x. So okay, so that's not a beam right in the middle. That's just a wood piece.
Yes.
To kind of fill the gap.
Yep, exactly.
I see. Okay.
And so what the arrow is pointing at here on the right side is essentially the beam not having enough overhang support. So it's not enough of the end of that beam is sitting on that post.
I see.
And I'm also going to be making a comment that since they spliced the beam on a post, that they didn't use an adequate tie or strap.
Some kind of positive reinforcement?
Yep.
Okay.
Because that's what the IRC essentially states in 2308.4.1 is that if you splice a girder over support, it should have an adequate tie.
Perfect. And then R502.6 has the bearing. The ends of each joist beam or girder shall not have less than 1.5 inches of bearing on wood or metal and not less than 3 inches on masonry or concrete, except where supported on a 1 inch by 4 inch ribbon strip and nailed to adjacent stud or the use of approved joist hangers. So, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, it looks like, William, I mean, you have 1.5 inches on bearing on wood there. I mean, you don't think that's 1.5 inches? So it's less than that. Okay.
I believe so.
Okay.
And you can also see the post is settling on one side as well.
It's leaning a little bit, right? Yep. Okay.
Yep. Either way, I don't think it's too difficult of a repair to make.
No, probably just move that post a little bit and put some reinforcement in there.
Yep.
Oh, well, this is a good one. I like talking about this. This is a highly controversial subject, but I don't think it's controversial at all.
I totally agree with you. Now you can't tell for those watching, but this is a wooden window inside the shower surround.
Okay.
But as we've been talking a lot lately, it doesn't even really matter so much that it's wooden. The comment here is going to be that there is a wood frame window inside of a shower surround. But right. we were talking about it, and there's inspectors in the California Real Estate Inspection Association who are very involved. One specifically being Mike Casey, who talks about how he has never seen a window flashed from the interior side or designed to be
flashed from the interior side. So windows have to be flashed, for those of you that don't know. So when water hits the side of the house or any moisture gets behind the stucco, then that moisture has to go around the window, down the wall, and get away from the wood structure of the home. Well, if water's getting in the wall from the interior side of the window, I mean, there shouldn't be, right? It doesn't rain inside the house, but it does rain inside the shower, yeah. Right? And so if moisture gets in there in between the window and the flashing, there's nowhere for it to go. You're just going to have moisture and water in the wall, which can cause deterioration, water damage, and mold because it's a dark area. And so I've actually personally known an inspector that had that condition happen a couple of times. And so this is something that we call out in our reports and defer that to a professional to verify the condition of that and at least disclose to the customer that they have a window in the shower. Yep.
Now, I'm really shocked that the IRC or any code for that matter does not address this.
Yeah, I know it doesn't. So it's good that you mentioned that, William, because the International Residential Code does not address it at all. You're allowed to put a window in a shower.
You're even allowed to put a wood window in a shower.
Yeah.
It just has to be treated and made sure it's waterproof and sealed.
But
But that takes annual maintenance.
It takes a lot of maintenance to do this, and it's on you to make sure it's sealed. So, people like windows in the shower, I guess. You want to be able to look outside while you're, putting soap on your armpits. I guess. Yeah. It's funny.
Well, that's all I have for you this week.
All right. So till our next episode, please subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Leave us your comments, and we'll catch you on the next one.